So we are coming towards the end of our build. Today I'm gonna go ahead and start putting the pickups in and screw on the neck and put together the control plate. So this is what we got right here. These pots were pretty much have most of the soldering done that I wanted. I need to solder this together because I actually got a new pot. This control switch or pickup switch is going to be swapped out because I got something a little bit better. I got this DiMarzio three-way switch, more traditional. It's more kind of like a rotary that I'll be using. So this is going to come out. So originally this was going to be the pick guard for this build, and I mean it looks nice, but pretty much after I got done staining this, I started thinking it's going to be a real bad shame for me to cover up, you know, this beautiful quilted maple top veneer. So what I'm going to do is, instead of using that, we're going to be using this. This is a Tele clear pick guard that is going to go over everything. And I actually made this. I had some plexiglass left over from another project that I had, and I basically drew this pattern into the plexiglass and I cut it with my bandsaw, and then I started sanding the sides until I got everything smoothed out. When I tried putting this on, it looked great, and I like that you're still going to be able to see that quilted top, but you'll still be able to maintain the pick guard because we already made these holes, or the holes already came pre-drilled, so we're kind of stuck with that. But I think having a clear pick guard on this is going to be nice because then you can see all that finish that we have at the top. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So hope all goes well. All right, here we go. So we're going to go ahead and start off with this guy. I'm going to see if I can remove, yep, that came off rather easily. I'm going to use the same cable that I've already soldered onto this for the new jack. So let me go ahead and get the new jack put in there. So this will be the new jack. So I was able to drill some holes, well, actually make these holes just a little bit wider. So now our screw fits in just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and screw this together now. Screwing this in. Put in the other screw. I have to tell you that having magnetic screwdrivers is like the best thing, because it is sometimes just a pain to get into these sort of angles and try to get these things screwed in right. Sometimes it's just more of a headache than it's worth. So you get a chance to purchase screwdrivers with a magnetic tip, I highly encourage it, because this sort of thing will just drive you crazy if you can't get in there. It looks like this one got in there just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and go with the black tip. Okay, now we got our three-way switch in there. So the next step is to go ahead and start soldering a bunch of stuff, and hopefully we'll test the pickups to make sure that those are put in correctly. But let's go ahead and start just soldering together some of these parts. Okay, so this is basically how we're going to wire this up. This is for push-pull pots, so I'm hoping that I just solder this one time and I don't have to resolder. So I have any mistakes in the past. I'll probably test it out first and make sure that it's all soldered correctly, but I'm gonna follow this. All right, so according to my diagram, I need to start putting together the grounds. So I get my soldering, solder. Go ahead and all right, that looks like it's on tight. So I think that ground is pretty secure. And then all right, let's see. Get you in there. All right, that looks pretty tight and secure. We got our volume already in there. Okay, so here we got the rotary in there. I'm gonna go ahead and try to install this ground into this. Okay, that looks like it's in there. I'm just gonna go ahead and just snip off that part right there. Snip off that. We'll have one final look through. So this is the end result of all that soldering. According to the diagram, on our rotary switch, we're supposed to have the volume soldered to the volume pot on one and another one of the contacts. So, I mean, I'm gonna just go with that, but hopefully it works. I mean, I was hoping that the rotary switch would make it a little easier, but I don't know. We'll see how it turns out. All right, let's see if we can start shielding some of the body cavities, because that's going to be needed for to avoid any kind of buzz or interference. So I'm going to go ahead and start doing that now. So there's many different ways of doing shielding. Some people paint the cavity with conductive paint in order to shield it. Why do you shield? You shield basically to avoid any interference from any external I guess would be electromagnetic signals to interfere with the pickups and make any buzz. So that's why it's done. But I'm not going to use conductive paint because I don't have any. But what I will be using is this conductive tape. I bought this at Harbor Freight probably about a year ago, 2 years ago. So this tape basically will shield any external, any interference from any electrical magnetic signals, and it'll prevent the pickups from humming. Usually you wouldn't put them on humbuckers, but just as a precaution, I guess I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And you also would do it to your control cavity just to make sure that there's no interference going through there. Once we're done with that, we'll be able to put the pickups in and start wiring some of this stuff together. Okay, so we have both pickups installed. We got the pick guard installed. I went ahead and put the ground cable through so that when we can attach the bridge. I'm gonna wait a bit to attach the bridge because I wanna first put the neck on. But right now I'm gonna go ahead and start soldering some of these cables into the, and I'm also gonna have to solder the input jack or output jack. So that's what's coming up next. Okay, so it looks like we've went ahead and shielded the cavity, the control cavity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start soldering the wires to control plate. And I also need to solder the input jack on there and screw it on. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Okay, so the input jack is in, it's been screwed on. This is going to be our hot. This is going to be our ground. So now we just have to get that control plate and start soldering it and everything. So I will go ahead and do that, and then we'll see what we got. So we're going to go ahead and test the pickups now. Looks like everything's working fine. So right now I got the humbucker. Neck. Both pickups. And then this is the push-pull pot. So now we have bridge. And we have the neck. Then we have them both on. So it looks to me like the electronics are finished. I need to clean it up because I got a lot of my fingerprints on it, but that is the output jack. So it's coming along fine. The next step is obviously to install the bridge and the neck. I'm worried. So at this point, the body's completely assembled. I went ahead and screwed on the bridge, screwed on the neck. So pretty much all we got to do now is string her up. This is a rear view of the guitar. See how that carved edge came out. That belly cut. I'm really impressed with this top. In person, it looks great. I know camera isn't really not doing it justice because the colors are so much more vibrant. But I think this guitar is going to give a pretty good impression. I think the clear pickguard was very a very good idea because I mean, you get to see the full veneer, and I think just the clear pickguard is just a nice touch. Okay, so what we're gonna do next is we're gonna go ahead and string her up and tune her up, and hopefully the placements of the saddles is not really an issue. That would be probably our last hurdle. So on to the next part. So a couple of updates. This morning I decided that I was gonna cut around the pickguard so that the humbucker on the neck would be at the same height as the humbucker at the bridge. Aesthetically, I think it looks better as well. Just to kind of give you perspective, obviously I'm gonna have to adjust the height of my pickups, but now they're basically even. Yesterday or the day before, I had them. The neck pickup was going to be a little higher, and I was going to try to offset it, but I just don't think it looked right. So I just decided to cut a hole in the pickguard to fit the pickup ring. So now they're even on both sides. I also sanded a little bit of the neck frets on the edges because it was a bit of a cheese grater, but now it's a lot better. So now we're gonna go ahead and string her up, and then we're gonna see what kind of sounds we get. So what we have here are some elixirs. They're 10s. Those are gonna be on the guitar. They're polywebs. I think these are the best strings, the easiest strings to play on. So we're gonna put that on. This is a top loading bridge, so all I gotta do is insert the strings through that and bring it up to the headstock, and then we'll string her up and see if we can get her in tune. So at last we are here. The build is 100% complete. Everything has been installed. The guitar has been intonated. We've strung her up, and it's in tune. Couple of things. Unfortunately, this is gonna take a little bit more work, and that would be in regards to this nut that came with the kit. This nut is, see if I can show that, is a little bit too high off the fretboard. And I also have a few high frets. So when I fret on the first fret, I get a lot of buzzing on the strings, and that's unfortunate because I was hoping that this neck would work well, but I'm not sure if I'm getting that because of the nut. Although from my eyes, I think it is a little bit too high. And then also the frets are probably needs to be leveled a little bit more. But unfortunately, I don't have the tools to do that at this time. So I'm gonna have to decide either to get a new neck for this, or to buy the tools and level and crown them. But it is a very nice feeling neck. I mean, it is chunky. I didn't sand anything off this neck, so I didn't attempt to make this a thinner neck. But it is thick. But it is kind of nice to play. You do get like a very comfortable angle here for the high frets. And also that belly cut is very, very nice if you want to just sit down and strum it. But unfortunately, the sad part was that this nut here is just not gonna help us get good playing out of this. and then the frets are some of them are a little bit too high, but I've tried adjusting the action here, and as you can see, the neck itself is a little bit too high for this guitar. I don't know if I can show that, but there is a gap right there between the body and the fretboard. So that's something else that is kind of mismatched with this guitar. As far as the electronics are concerned, I mean, I didn't have any problem with the electronics. I did have a little bit of a setback figuring out how to correctly put this three-way switch, but at the end I was able to wire it up correctly. And then that's the input jack. I will show a short demo on just strumming it a little bit. But like I said, you know, I get a lot of buzz when I fret on the first and a little bit on the second. So, I mean, I don't know what to say about that. I mean, I tried adjusting this action as best I could, but the action's set pretty high just to compensate for how uneven this fretboard is with the body. So I had to pull the action up really high. But I mean, it was a kit guitar, you know, and this kit obviously cost me less than $100, so I can't really expect too much. But we'll see what's in store, and if I can, I will definitely share an update. But at this time, I consider this build complete. It's just a shame about that neck and that nut. I might do an update, but we'll see. Okay, unless the next part is just going to be a demo. Okay. Okay, that's the bridge.
Okay, you play bridge.
Both pickups. Okay, now we'll do the single coil, the push-pull pot. Okay, and then we'll do neck. Then we'll do both pickups on. I think I actually like the sound of both pickups on, but with the full humbucker, because you get a little bit more louder. Okay, that's it. Since I started this project face to face, I figured that it would probably be a good idea to end it that way. Although I'm probably not making it a standard practice to use my face in videos, because it's just not my style of doing YouTube videos. But we do have the completed project. Here it is. I mean, there's many ways that you can improve this. Yeah, there's many ways that this could still be improved. Although I am kind of satisfied with the result. It was disappointing that the neck is a little bit too high off the body. But it's not actually, you know, when I set it up, the action is actually not too bad on this. Just unfortunately that I think the frets is probably the frets is the thing that needs to be sanded down a little bit and just at least balanced out. But the guitar looks great. Love the color, and The pick guard, I think, is a nice touch to it. I'm still trying to see whether I keep this pick guard, even though it looks kind of cool. Uh, I saw the black one that I was going to use, and I'm kind of just not sure that I'm going to leave it this way. But I mean, I think it's a beaut, uh, and I think at one point, if I can get if I can get a different neck on there, that will work better. I might just end up doing that. Just reflections on the build. If I had to do this project again, I probably would just do another kind of parts caster style of build. Um, this was fun, but I'm just not a professional luthier, and I don't see myself as one. I don't even see myself as a great guitar player. I just kind of noodle on it. But I've been always fascinated about builds like this and just building guitars in general. And I just, this was a lot of fun for me. This was a nice little project to do, especially during quarantine. Um, Problem is, though, is that it does require a lot of work, and the sanding, the going back and forth. It's very difficult to do. And if I had to do the project again, I probably would just buy a body that's already lacquered up and already ready to go, just to put together, kind of like the way I did with the Jackson Dinky, which is a guitar that I'm enjoying a lot right now, and just actually playing with it more, getting more comfortable, setting up that Floyd Rose. But in general, I think this guitar was a lot of fun to build. I think the pickups that I put on this thing are really nice. They're like Wilkinson's pickups. They have a really good sound, and I just enjoy it. So, but anyways, I mean, I think it's a great looking guitar, and I'm probably gonna have to just figure out what I'm gonna do with this neck. Perhaps I might have an update later on where I actually get into this neck and try to level it, which is something I'm not really comfortable doing. Is probably the reason why I'm just leaving. I'm kind of stopping the project now because it's kind of a difficult thing to get right, and you don't want to mess up a neck. I've already messed up a neck once, and I'm not really willing to do that again. But in general, though, I mean, this was a very fun build to do, and I think, like I said, if I had to do it again, I'd probably just use a body and a neck that's already been finished and just ready just to be put together, because these builds are a lot of fun. But that's basically it. I mean, I never thought that we reached the end of this project, and I mean, this project, I never thought that we see the end of this project. And this project, I mean, literally has taken me 4 years. Granted, the last 2 months, I've just been working on this and just trying to get it done. But life happens. I wasn't able to get it done earlier, so. But I think I'm very happy with the results, and I think this is a very satisfactory conclusion to the Telecaster build. And would I advise anyone to partake on this? If you're curious enough, or you really want to know what it's like to build a guitar, I say go for it. But I don't see myself ever buying another kit and trying to make one of these again, because just the work that I put into it, even though I did get something that I was pretty satisfied with, just the work that went into it, the fixing it, the polishing it, the making it just the best you could, takes a lot of work. And also, these parts are not perfect. I mean, not by any means. I mean, this nut is just not what this guitar needs, and I think these frets are just not leveled correctly. So if you're gonna buy a kit guitar, expect to put all that work into it, which is something I wouldn't recommend if you're a newbie. I would. This is like probably like the fourth or fifth build that I've made of guitars. This is the second guitar that I actually painted and put together and assembled, and this is the first guitar that I completely assembled everything, even the electronics. I went ahead and bought the parts and assembled it myself, because before I just bought like a wiring harness. So even though the harness that I did have, I ended up using it on the Jackson instead. So this got like parts from scratch, and I had to build everything, assemble everything from scratch, which was also kind of an ordeal because this three-way switch is just wasn't working right. But I mean, it's rewarding when you see something and it looks, aesthetically at least. I mean, I think it's a beautiful instrument. Even the back, even though the back is not perfect, but it's kind of nice, and it's aesthetically it's pleasing. Like I said, this neck is gonna need a little bit more work, and if there's a afterward that I can put on this video series, I'll probably just see if maybe I put a new neck in here, or if I get figure out a way how to level these. Which again, I'm not an expert, and I'm not seeing myself actually doing that. But if whatever happens, nonetheless, thank you so much for watching, and thank you for all my new subscribers. The numbers are moving up slowly, but that's okay because I know that what I do is only has a very limited amount of people that have interest in what I like. So that's fine with me. I just enjoy doing the videos, and I'm just gonna continue making my videos as long as I can. But for now, that was the Telecaster build, and I hope that you've enjoyed it with me, and have a wonderful day, and hope to see you again in another different episode. Thank you.